Hi, everybody. It's Chris and Whitney, and we're here to talk to you about the history of social media and how it can or shouldn't be used in education. So, hi, I'm Chris.
Hi, I'm Whitney.
You know us by now. All right, so we're going to go ahead and get started. So, we thought we'd start just kind of by defining what social media is, and it's basically just tools that are run off of a computer, a smartphone, a tablet that allow people to create or share or exchange information. And I found this graphic that I thought was really cool. Have you ever seen this before?
No, I haven't.
I thought it was really cool because it not only shows, and there's so many applications that start and then close or go out of business or whatever. So I'm not sure how exactly up to date it is, but I also liked that each petal sort of has an area, like collaboration or commerce or blog or curation or, you can go through there and read them all, but I thought it was a really cool representation.
For sure. Where did you find that?
The link's right there down at the bottom.
I see
And
it.
yeah, under the it was licensed with Creative Commons. You just had to give your you just had to attribute where you got it from and state if you made any changes, which I didn't. I just thought it was really
That's
um
cool.
yeah, I thought it was a cool one. So
I think I'm gonna print that off for my class.
at school,
Yeah,
I
just
think it would
for
be,
my
yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, I think that would be really cool. There's a website. I'll email you the link to it next week.
Okay.
There's a website where you can take a photo like that and print it off on computer paper or printer paper, but it'll make a poster for you. You tell it
Really?
what size, and then it prints it. It'll print like 6 sheets by 4 sheets or whatever.
Oh wow.
Yeah,
That's
it's really cool.
cool. Yeah, I'd love to see
But
that
I
link.
digress.
The first thing I did for this project was I went over the timeline
Yeah.
that Dr. Talib sent, and then I watched that 90-second video, and it was just amazing what happened just from 2001 till now.
Right.
I mean, it was kind of a reality check, like, holy cow, all this has happened in just such a short amount of time. So,
And I think we kind of take it for granted right now, like
yeah.
figuring out what web tool is the best or what application is the best, and we lose sight of the fact that it's pretty awesome and pretty new technology.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. So when I was doing some research, I found, I don't know if this happens to you, but I'll find a site that leads to another site that leads to another site. And I found this, the link is down there at the bottom, and it's also on the reference page, but this was a really awesome graphic for all kinds of statistics for social networking. And so I just grabbed a screenshot of this one section of it. And when you look at that picture, it's like, whoa, that's a lot of information. but I thought that some of the statistics were really interesting. Like 96% of American students use social networks. 59% of those kids use social networks for education. And 3/4 of kids, 7th to 12th grade in the United States, have at least one social media profile, right? So those statistics are really strong in terms of kids being connected and using social networks. Then on the opposite, 69% of U.S. high schools ban cell phones. And this was one I thought was really telling. 27% of schools have online community for teachers and administrators. Only 27%, which, that seems pretty low to me. Only 1 in 4 schools have something online for their teachers and admins. So I think that shows a real disparity in how kids use it and how the teachers and administrators in their lives maybe use it.
Yeah, I wonder if that'll go up. That percentage will go up over the years. Or
I don't know. I mean, I don't know if you deal with this because your students are younger, but I know at my school, the administration and teachers freak out if kids have a cell phone visible at school. I mean, they lose it. They actually lose points on their report card, and they lose incentive pay. Our kids get incentive pay every day, and they lose $1 every time their phone comes out.
Wow. Yeah. Our middle school and high schools like that.
Yeah. Well, my son's not even, they have to leave it turned off in their locker. They're not even allowed to take it to class for music or anything.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Wow. It came to the point where, there were some parents that were concerned because they would try to contact their children about after-school arrangements.
Right.
And so now they can have it on in their locker, but it can't leave their locker.
Okay.
So during passing period, they can check it real quick.
Okay.
But it has to, they have to check it in their locker, and it has to stay in there. And so.
Interesting. It'll be interesting to see. My son's going to high school next year, and they started a BYOD program this year. So I'm thinking that next year he'll be able to take his phone and use it at school or something, a Chromebook or something. I don't know.
Wow, that's
but it'll be interesting.
Wow.
So
I think I have this in part of my notes later on, but one of the reasons I was thinking that maybe teachers don't use either Twitter or Facebook or phones is because they're nervous. They're scared to use them because they're not quite sure maybe how to use them, what rules to, they just don't know all those guidelines that they need to set, and they're just scared of what could happen.
Right. That's something. Actually, there's some statistics coming up here in a second that talk about that, but I think that's an excellent point. I think a lot of, it would be interesting to see how many, I think there might be a statistic here coming up. Let me go. Here it is. So this is social media in higher education, so the college level. So roughly 41% of professors have used social media in their teaching, and I would venture to guess that it's even higher on a personal level.
Yeah.
And then this other statistic said that people that are in online education are probably more open to electronic communication. And I know for me that's true since I started this program at K-State. When I first started, I was like scared to put a post on there or email a question or something because I was like, oh, I'm such a dork, I'm such a dope, but now I'm like, hey, it's me again.
I love it. Yes, I can relate. So
I'm glad I can entertain you.
You do.
Okay, so some of the positives that this article talked about was that it fosters a sense of community among the class, and I think that's been a true experience, like for our little group at K-State, don't you think?
I do.
Yeah, I think so too. And obviously it's a great way to share information.
Yes.
But I thought comparing the upper ed to K-12, this was an interesting study that was done. It was just published like a year ago, so it's fairly recent. And it said of 1,000 K-12 teachers, 80% say they use social media for personal or professional, but only 18% integrated it into their classrooms.
Oh, wow.
Right. So
Wow.
and I think that's what you were mentioning before. Maybe they're just unsure or nervous about it, or maybe they've seen some of the stories on the news about teachers getting into trouble because they're Facebook friends with their students or whatever.
Yeah, yeah. It'd be interesting if over the years, maybe more professional development um,
Yeah.
develop about specifically like how do I use Facebook in the classroom? What does it
Right.
look like? What does it entail? Because if I think about using, I'm K through 6, but if I was to use like Twitter or Facebook, I have no idea how that would even look in my class.
Right.
And
Well, and experience at my school, even with Google Apps,
mhm,
the kids are supposed to be 13 to even use them. And so you would automatically run into that problem at your school with, I think, any form, or almost maybe Edmodo wouldn't be like that because it's meant for schools.
mhm,
Um,
yep,
but, like Twitter and Facebook and, I
yeah,
think you have to be 13 or 14 under their terms of use. So
yeah.
anyway,
So it might not even work for
yeah.
my
But
class.
there are other alternatives, I would think, and I think more options, I guess, are popping up every day
Yeah.
and have proven positive outcomes. So
Mhm. Yeah.
anyway,
Yeah.
there's
So.
a story that I ran into about a teacher. It's towards the end of the presentation, but he's
Mhm.
like a social studies, like public policy high school teacher in, I think it was Wisconsin, and
Mhm.
he noticed that all the students were using Twitter, but they weren't really harnessing the power of Twitter. And so he taught them specific things to do, and then he integrated it into his classroom and on his smart board or whatever he uses. He had the Twitter feed going so everybody could see it, or he would pick out specific ones that would of students in the class of the tweets, and so he taught them searching tools and different things like that. And I think they ran like a mock presidential election, and they had to say who their running candidates were and create Twitter accounts. And it
Oh,
was
wow.
really cool.
That's neat. Yeah.
Yeah.
Very
So
interesting.
anyway, so this was from one of the suggested readings. Also, I thought this was a really interesting quote. Social media definitely has a place in education, and that place is about getting information, research, and finding emerging trends. And I know even since we started using Twitter in this class,
Yeah.
I'm finding more and more and more, and I'm like, ooh, follow, that's interesting, follow. So
Yes. I'm trying. I've never used Twitter before this
yeah,
class.
I mean, I
Yeah,
think
and I'm trying.
I've seen the kids use it, like my
Mhm.
kids and my nieces and that kind of thing, but I never really paid much attention to it in terms
Yeah.
of professional use, but it's pretty
Mhm.
cool.
Yeah, that's neat that you're finding that you like it and
Yeah,
finding things and yeah,
yeah,
that's
it's cool. So anyway,
yeah. So this is off of one of the articles that was listed in the assignment about the pros and cons. And so real quick, obviously the pros for using social media in the classroom, collaboration, it allows teachers and students to collaborate with one another. Go ahead. What?
oh, I didn't say anything.
Oh, okay, sorry. Encourage more participation. So a lot of people will say that this helps the shy ones be able to express themselves through social media rather than having to raise their hand in class and speak out. They were saying that it's useful for homework help. So either they can maybe students can email their their teachers and ask them a question if they're struggling at home with their homework, or maybe they can on a
my,
blog or
sorry to
resources.
interrupt. My son's school uses Edmodo, and
Okay.
which is based, I don't know if you've seen it, but it's basically like Facebook for schools.
Yes.
And it's amazing to me. The kids aren't shy at all. They'll go on there and post questions. And then sometimes the other students will post replies before the teacher gets a chance to.
Uh-huh.
And some of the teachers make it kind of fun. Like if you find, I can't solve this, the first person to solve this gets a candy bar tomorrow, and they have to post the answer. And
Nice.
but it's a really awesome resource for help if they have questions, but also if they're absent, they can just download the PDF, print it, and take their homework in the next day done.
Oh, nice.
So not all the teachers do it, but the ones that do make it really, it's very, very helpful.
Yeah. Yeah. That sounds neat. Man, I should look into that. So,
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
yeah, that would be something more for younger kids that I could.
I would think that they could use it because his school starts in 6th grade, but I don't see any reason why somebody younger couldn't do it.
Yeah, yeah. Kind of preps them for
Yeah.
Facebook or
Well, and
Twitter.
it's a safe environment. It's protected. To get an account, the school has to give you like an activation code, and then like I can log in too, but they give parents a separate code so you can kind of see what their team is doing, but
Yeah.
but it's separate from what the kids are doing.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Nice. So 2 more pros with it was sharing resources. So again, using social media, you can just share resources easily and quickly by giving a link. And then they were talking about how the parents and teachers and students can all be on one page. So like you're saying, the Edmodo, if if they have questions or whatever, need to post something about homework or about an assignment, and parents can look there, and just everyone's on the same page about everything.
Yeah.
So then we have the cons, and obviously these are pretty, we probably heard of all these. People can get distracted if they're using social media, improper use of social media. So they were talking about, the probably like sexual sexting, or the what do you call it? Pornography.
Yeah, pornography.
Pornography. Thank you.
Yeah. You just say porn, right?
Yeah,
It's interesting. I don't see that as a problem nearly as much as just the distraction with the older kids that I have. They're constantly distracted with like Tumblr and Twitter and whatever. I'm like, give me a break. Do your work.
Yeah. No. I would agree. I don't see the older kids like you do, but I would agree. And then there, one of the cons is cyberbullying and posting inappropriate content. Well, when I read, and I skipped one, can detract from human interaction. So I'm going to kind of touch base on, first of all, posting inappropriate content. Okay, let me restate that. I'm going to skip to a different article, and it's going to tie back to these cons.
Okay.
There's a reason here. So I found this article online. It is called "Social Media in the Classroom" by Jenny Harris, and it's on our resources. But this quote down here that I have in black lettering, it says, some critics describe social media as a weapon of malicious behavior, while supporters of social media feel that it gives those that are uncomfortable in traditional social settings a chance to express themselves. Critics view it as a discourager for face-to-face. So I can totally understand both sides here. I thought it was very interesting that they related social media to a weapon of malicious behavior.
Yeah.
I just had never heard that expression before, so
Mhm.
it's kind of interesting. But I got to thinking, and I just thought of, you know, we always are talking about being well-rounded. Let's be a well-rounded person. Let's, be educated and knowledgeable just about different areas in life. So obviously in the K through 6, we have, well, probably K through 8, we have, art. We have all those specials, PE, music, art, computers, guidance counseling, and whatever,
Yeah.
so on, to be well-rounded. Well, then I got thinking, well, let's be well-rounded with social media. Let's be to teach our kids at a young age. Let's teach them posting inappropriate content. Let's teach them about that so that they don't grow up thinking that they can post inappropriate stuff. Let's talk about it. Let's see what it looks like. Let's start it from a young age. And what was the other one? Okay, so let's be able to use social media. Then the people who say the critics view it as a discourager for face to face, you hear it all the time. People are like,
Right.
"Oh, these kids today, they're all wrapped up in social media. They forget how to socialize."
Right.
Okay, well, let's be a well-rounded social media user. Use the social media, but also you can talk to someone face to face,
Right.
and
I
it's
agree.
not a problem. Um,
I was just trying to find something on my phone. I linked it on my,
so,
oops, sorry. No,
oh, no, you're good.
I was just trying to find something on my phone that I had talked to my students about at school this week. And, I think the same can be said for social media as maybe used to be said about the evening news. I mean, there's just no good news. It's so negative and it's so um, detrimental, and there's just so much like heaviness and bad news. But I saw a story about the positive power of social media. And I can't remember exactly what the story was, but it was on Good Morning America.
Mm-hmm.
And whatever it was, I can't remember now what it was. My hard drive's full, but I remember Robin Roberts just saying, "Wow, the positive power of social media." And so I agree with you completely. I think, if you educate students on, the power of it and how to use it in the proper way, how to harness that power, I think it's a really good tool.
Yeah, yeah. So, good deal.
You ready to move on?
Yeah.
Okay, let's hit that. There we go. All right. Do you want to intro this video and then I'll see if it'll play?
Yeah, so I found this video. It was titled Technology Issues in the Classroom. It's about a 5-6 minute video, but it was very intriguing. It just kind of points out 3 points as to, how do I want to say it? 3 points about using technology in the classroom, or 3 points of issues about using technology in the classroom. Kind of goes through it, just makes you think a little bit, and then at the end it talks about how you can fix these 3 points and how you can make it so that you can use it in the classroom, if that makes
Okay.
sense. It'll make sense once you watch the video.
There's many issues with using technology in the classroom. The three that stick in my mind as being the most important to success or failure with that technology are the focus of this video. These three issues are access, fear of the new, and training. Let's start with access. Access to technology is an issue which affects everyone in the school, but for this video, I'm going to focus on the student. Let's start with some statistics. I teach 7th grade, so my statistics are going to be about 12 and 13-year-olds. Slightly more than 2/3 of 12 to 13-year-olds own a cell phone. 23% of kids that age have a phone that is a smartphone. The reason I focus on cell phone use is that in my experience, very few kids have tablets or laptops that they're willing or allowed to bring to school. So what do these statistics mean for a teacher once they start using technology in their classroom? Well, in general, it means that when a teacher is designing lessons that incorporate technology, they need to keep in mind that most kids will not have a piece of mobile technology with them. If we look a little deeper, this means a couple of things. First, that alternative activities need to be considered in lesson design, and the teacher needs to think about the different operating systems to make sure that everything works, and ways for students to work together using a limited number of devices also needs to be thought about. That way, everybody can always be involved. So we've seen how access is an issue which affects students, affects teachers as well, but let's move on now to an issue that affects teachers mainly, and through the teachers affects their students. Call this issue the fear of the new. This fear of the new is something I run across in my role as a technology mentor at my school. It made me ask why teachers are afraid of new things, especially when these things involve technology. I came up with 3 big reasons. We all know the kids aren't afraid of new technology, so why are the teachers? What I've been doing works just fine for years. Why should I change is something I've heard from teachers. This is a valid concern because, quite honestly, using a technology tool for the first time can be time-consuming and intimidating. A prime example of this is PowerPoint. When PowerPoint first started, there were a lot of teachers who did not want to switch from their overhead machines or blackboards or whiteboards. But now just about everybody uses PowerPoint, and I don't know anybody who would want to switch back to the way it used to be. Another phrase I've heard quite often is, I just don't get computers. I hear this excuse a lot, even though it seems to me to be a little bit of a cop-out from people who are just afraid to try something new. They may have valid reasons for their fear, but today's world, especially in education, they must be able to get past those fears. Everything in the school is headed towards using computers. Attendance, administration memos, presentations, gradebooks, everything. Teachers have to use computers, so they have to get past this fear and this whole mindset of, I just don't get it. They have to get past that. The last piece of this fear of the new issue is a big one, and that's evaluation concerns with using technology. If a teacher finds out that use of technology in their classroom is going to form part of their evaluation, it ratchets up their anxiety and may cause teachers to use technology as little as they can possibly get away with. This avoidance will keep them and their students from realizing and maximizing the potential that technology has for learning in their classroom. Last issue I want to talk about when it comes to using technology in the classroom before I move on to some suggestions is training. There are 2 parts to this piece of the issue. There's mechanical issues and pedagogical issues. Mechanical issues are just the fact that teachers need to be familiar enough with how technology works so that they can use it effectively. How well a teacher understands and can use a piece of technology directly affects how well the students will learn from that technology. The other part of the training issue is a pedagogical one. I know some teachers, me included sometimes, see a new piece of technology and get all excited about how they can use it, and then they use it without planning out how best to use it. It doesn't work, they blame the technology instead of themselves, and the technology goes back up on the shelf. Teachers have to have a plan for how a piece of technology is going to work best for their students. So, despite the upfront time and other concerns teachers have when trying to incorporate technology into their classroom, it is a valuable tool and they need to learn how to use it. So how do we get past these issues of access, fear, and training? I have some suggestions. As far as access goes, there are options to ensure that every student has access to technology. Unfortunately, most of these require funding, which is more often than not hard to find. Districts have a couple of things they can do. They can supply technology to their students either through the purchase of class sets or through lease/purchase agreements with students and parents. There are also endless grants for technology to be found out there, and I know that most districts have grant coordinators whose job it is to search out those grants. So how do we conquer this fear of the new? Well, simple. Exposure. Computers and technology in the classroom are here to stay, and the only way teachers can get over their fear is to actually use it. Just as diving off a high dive the first time is quite frightening, using technology for the first time can also be quite frightening. But diving off a high dive and using technology, both of those things get easier the more often they are done. The training is actually an easy thing to address because most districts have already started to address it through in-district professional development opportunities for their teachers. There are also multitudes of private organizations that provide technology training, PowerPoint, internet, all sorts of things.
All right. What'd you think?
Yeah, I thought that was really interesting, and I could relate to everything he said.
Yeah, yeah. So, when he was talking about the fear of the new, I thought that part was really interesting. It kind of just struck me when he said, like a light bulb, kids aren't scared of using the technology. Why are the teachers?
Right.
And but it's so true. It is so true. And I think it kind of goes with what he says. It's, first of all, it's intimidating, but it's time consuming. It's very time consuming, because if you're wanting to teach it to these kids, you have to know how to use it.
Right.
And so you have to spend the time figuring out how to use it yourself, and then how do you teach that to their kids.
Right. And I've never met a teacher who had a lot of extra time.
Yeah, exactly. So, so that's definitely a hard thing to balance sometimes.
I think another thing that goes along with that is having a backup plan. You know, when people plan to use technology and then something goes wrong,
Yes.
you have to have a plan, so you're not forced to think on your feet and just make do,
Yeah, because then you kind of get frustrated that the technology didn't come through or work
Right.
out, and then
Right.
you kind of scare yourself from using it the next time.
Right.
That's so true. Yeah. No. And then I also thought it was funny how he said, some people will say, I just don't get computers. I just don't get it. I have heard that so many times from the people that I work with.
Right.
Computers and I just don't get together, or don't
Right.
work together, whatever.
Right.
And I kind of chuckle every time, because and I have this grad program to thank for this, because ever since I started this grad program, they would say, okay, here's the web tool, figure out how to use it. And it has helped me tremendously understand that there is a way to operate this web tool. You just have to take the initiative to figure it out, or look up tutorials, or whatever it is. And really everything works almost the same, inserts, text boxes,
Right.
the how you make words how you want it, bigger, color, font styles. It's pretty much all the same, just every web tool does it just a little bit different.
Right.
And so I have seen myself grow with technology just from starting these graduate courses.
Yeah, I would agree.
It's been great, and I try to pass that on to my kids. They're like, if they get frustrated, they throw up their hands and they're just like, Mrs. Ottoman, just help me. I can't do it for me. And I'll never do it for them. I start asking them questions to start having them think and generate, like listen to yourself talk and talk it out. Like, how do you think you're going to go about doing this? I can't think of an example off the top of my head, but
Well, I have teachers that do the same thing.
Yeah.
They just freak out and they're like, I can't do this. Do it for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No.
And I think it's easier for an adult to say, I don't get it. I don't get computers.
Mm-hmm.
Easier for them to say that than I'm afraid to try.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
And that kind of relates to, in the video, how he said how to fix these things. Exposure.
Right.
I have a 6th grade teacher that I collaborate with a lot, and she's older, and but she is very willing to use technology, and I'll show her some of the things that I do with her 6th graders, and she'll want to do that same thing, but she kind of looks at me like, I want to use that, but don't know how. And I'm just like, we're going to sit down. I'm going to show you. I'm like, you just need someone to show you. You just need to see it. You need to practice it on your own. I was like, it's very easy. You just need to be introduced to it. Just don't be afraid to try it, So, yeah.
And her willingness is more than half the battle.
Yes,
Yeah.
and that's it's amazing because not everyone is like that. So
Right.
yeah, so that's
Excuse me, I'm yawning.
no, you're good. You're good. So
All right. So
yeah,
this kind of ties back to, what we were talking about before as far as, should schools use social media, and maybe with the right training and stuff they should. So one of the articles talked about Gaggle.net, which is basically just a secure social networking site for schools. But then I looked and I found some other alternatives too. I'd never heard of this Twidgucate.
Me neither.
Yeah, and I looked at it. It's really the links to these are on the reference page or the resources page. But then I'll also post them once we post everything too on the what's the thing where we post
Message board.
Thank you. It's been a really long day. 5th grade math is hard.
Everyone listening, it's been a long day for both of us. And
yeah. So Twidgucate is it's set up like Twitter, but the kids, what I liked about it was that the kids don't have to have an email to sign up. The teacher just generates a class code. Yeah. And teachers are in control of the network, so who can join, posts, appropriate posts, etc. And it's just a good venue, I guess, for them to collaborate and work together on a common, problem, idea, theme, whatever. And then, of course, there's Wikispace's Classrooms, which is just it's just an online place for collaboration. And I liked that it was called a knowledge community. I think that was pretty cool way to describe that. And you can use it for project-based learning. You can use it for classroom management. One downside is that you have to generate that all yourself. Okay. And so this third site that I found, it used to be called like it was in one of the articles that she listed for us. It used to be called like USB 2.0 or something like that, but now it's called Neo LMS, and it looks really cool. So it's a learning management system, and you should definitely check out the website because it has it's really cool. It's everything all in one. It's a social networking site. It's a grade book. It's got analytics on it. It's just really cool. And as I recall, there's a free version, and so the first 30 days they start you out for free with like the superstar version, and then they cut back the paid version. But anyway, there's a free version of it that's available.
Okay.
So I thought, those are pretty cool, and especially with younger kids, that Twidgucate might be kind of fun.
Yeah.
Like if they brought their some Wi-Fi tool, an iPod or a tablet or something, if they don't have a phone, any of those with a BYOD thing, or even like in your classroom when they're all on computers, that might work.
Yeah. Do you
anyway
trying any of those in your
what?
class? Do you see yourself trying any of those in your class?
At my current school, the learning management system, yeah, I totally could see that. It would be awesome. Yeah. The Twitter type stuff, no, because the administration doesn't allow any social media during the school day.
Okay.
Yeah.
Even that one you just said, the Twidgucate.
Yeah, I don't think they would go for it.
No.
I don't think so. They're they're very I don't know. They might go for it if I gave them specific examples for why I was using it, but we have. I don't know. It might be a tough sell.
Yeah.
It might be a tough sell. It kind of depends, and I kind of have. You kind of have to pick which sword you want to die on, and I'm not sure that's one that I'm ready for yet. So. Yeah. I ran across this quote on Twitter this week: filter a website and you protect a student for a day, educate a student about online safety, and you protect them for a lifetime. And that just goes back to what we've both been saying the whole time.
Yeah. I like that quote.
Yeah. I didn't make it up, and it was prettier on Twitter, but It didn't match our theme, so I changed it. Anyway, so I found this too. I thought it was really interesting. Most of the examples and statistics and stuff that we've been talking about are based in the United States. And so when I was looking about, when I was researching, like, if you use social media, you need to set up certain parameters, certain safety nets, that kind of thing.
For
And I
sure.
found this. India has a digital initiative, and here, let me zoom in on this. I will load this PDF up onto the message board too, but these are all of this is the curriculum that they offer, and it's just all different areas of, working online. And I thought it was really cool. And I thought, well, if India has this initiative, who else has this initiative, and what can we borrow from this, or does the United States already have something? Anyway, I thought it was a really good framework
Yeah.
to start from.
So is this for like younger or older, or how?
I think that I think it depends. If you read some of the details, I think it depends, and I think some of the curriculum was broken down into age groups, if I remember correctly.
Okay.
But the link is there in the resource area too, so you could definitely check it out.
Awesome. I will do
But
that. Nice find.
so this just kind of leads us to our conclusions. I think we agree that social media can and should be used in an educational setting if you have rules and expectations set up, and if the students are educated on how to use it properly, and if the school sort of covers all the areas of where problems can occur: discrimination, loss of productivity, which is what we were talking about, the distraction, privacy. Student privacy is a huge issue right now. Like even that class dojo. Do you remember that class dojo that we talked about in a previous semester? It's like a classroom. It's an app for classroom management, but
Okay.
it's aimed towards younger kids, and all the little avatars are like funny, cute little monsters, and you can set up your seating chart or your roster or whatever, and you can give each kid their little monster, and then it pops up on your your projection screen or your whiteboard or whatever. So you control it on your computer, but if they do something good, you can reinforce them positively, and it pops up on the screen. But then if they do something that's not so good, you take away points. So it's like a behavior modification plan, but it's on the screen for everybody to see. But then there have been a lot of complaints about what is the company doing with all the information that they're collecting. And that's something I worry about with all these quote unquote free apps, is nothing's free. So if you're using these free apps, what are they doing with the information that you're giving them? It's something to think about.
That's exactly right. I was at a conference and they showed us this app for like keeping track of all your passwords.
Right.
Well, so you put your Twitter and then you put your password for it. So you have a place that you can set your passwords. Well, then I got to thinking, I was like, okay, there's free ones, there's ones you pay for, but either way, there's someone on the other end of this.
Right.
That has this information. Why would I want to give these companies the list of my
what you use and how you
Yeah, it's a neat concept, but
right.
Yeah.
But there's a level of trust that's not there for me on that issue.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, I agree.
Interesting. Yeah.
So anyway, I think this was an interesting conversation, and I hope you guys watching take a minute and check out our resources and click on some of the links, because we found some really interesting research and information and background information this week.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Great.
Okay, so here's our resource page. I don't think you'll be able to click on them during this, videotape, but you'll be able to click on them if you open up the link and check it out that way. So this concludes our presentation. It was nice talking to you, girl.
Yes, you too. Thank you.
Yeah.